Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rescripted Podcast, where we could celebrate the great things in life, share about the not so great parts, and find out how we can rewrite those challenges, turn them into insightful moments that will lead us to change, to growth, to happiness, and empowerment, all so that we can live the life we truly want to experience. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing patience. Some of us have it, some of us feel like there's no time for it, but there is so much for us to learn from patience. It's actually one of our best friends. I think one of the things that makes patience so hard to attain is that when we focus on something, when we want something, we get so excited and we can't wait for it to come to fruition, right? So we feel like we think it, we want it, and we forget that there's kind of like a journey that's in between. So a lot of times we just get focused on the end result and we get frustrated that we don't go from 0 to 100. But the beauty of patience is that everything is a journey, right? Life is a journey. So when you're able to have the patience, it allows that journey to unfold because there's so much for us to learn. There's so much that goes into achieving something that if we skip those steps, we're not really going to be appreciative of achieving what we wanted in the first place. So let's say, for instance, if you were to want a home and let's say you wanted it today, tomorrow you have it. Of course, that's exciting. Of course, it's what you wanted and you feel elated to have it. But sometimes when you have to go through certain steps, then you get to value what you achieved, right? You understand what went into it. Sometimes it's sacrifices, sometimes it's a little bit more dedication. And then you realize what are the beautiful elements in it, right? So if you're building a home, let's say you're building a home and you get to put all the fixtures in it that you want versus just getting stuff in there that get the bare bones, the bare basics because you just want it to be done, right? So there's a difference between you saying, yeah, we'll get the bare bones and it's done, and then a difference of saying, well, I want these specific features. So when I go in, the house wows me, right? Because if I have to work X amount of hours, if I have to put in so much more labor, at least it's going to be worth it because every time I walk in there, I'm so in love with it. You know, it's the same thing when you have your kids. Sometimes if you were just to go from having, not having and then having, and you don't have like that journey of like growing with them and teaching them and seeing them develop into an individual, those are the beautiful moments because once they get something, once they achieve something and you see the journey that it took them to get there, it's beautiful. And you're so proud as a parent, you're so proud as a coach, you're so proud as an individual that it does bring tears to your eyes because you're able to appreciate someone's journey. There's value in the journey. So I think when we trying to rush the process, we are actually robbing ourselves from that beautiful journey. And that's no fun, right? Because that's where you can lack appreciation for something. So the beauty of patience, it's that it's going to allow you to unfold what that journey is for you. So instead of having something rushed and missing out on some elements and having to go back and kind of like relearn things or rebuild things or starting over again multiple times, the beauty of having patience is that you're able to see where you're starting and see where you're going, right? So that's your goal. So that's a measurable goal. So you may have some action steps along the way. And of course, there's going to be some unforeseen obstacles that are going to be in the way. So some of those things are going to cause delays. You can get frustrated over the delays, or you can understand that the delays are actually helping you because it's going to cause an enhanced experience moving forward. So then of course you are going to be appreciative of those delays because it's filling in those blind spots that you didn't see. So once you're in your journey, you're able to see that, you know, things do take a lot longer than we anticipate, and then you see why, and that brings a lot of appreciation for a journey. It brings a lot of appreciation for the artwork or the labor that goes into something, instead of just thinking that things just manifest just because. So you definitely want to value the journey. There's appreciation in the journey. There's growth, there's wisdom, there's so much in your journey. So when you have patience, it allows you to experience all that versus rushing it. We're all on a time crunch, of course we are. We all want things done yesterday. But the truth of the matter is that you get such an enriched experience when you allow the patience to really let that be the landscape of what you're experiencing. And the thing that you could do to stunt your own growth, honestly, is to rush it. Because if you rush it, that's where shortcuts come, which there aren't really shortcuts. That's where the devalue of like work comes in, and you never want to devalue a process or someone's work. And you never want to look at your finished result and say, this isn't what I wanted, this is what I thought it would be, because again, you are devaluing the process. Even if you were to rush something, you're going to learn, right? You're going to see the things that worked, you see the things that didn't work, and you're going to realize that you may have to do that stuff again. So to save yourself time in the long run, I kind of say like I have to go slower to go faster, which really all I'm trying to say is if I focus on one stage at a time, then it allows me to effectively finish that, and then I can move on to the next one. And each stage will build on the next one. So that's why it's so important too, to be able to like focus on something, really do it to the best of your ability, because you know we live and learn, so we're always going to grow. But at least do it to the best of your ability now, because what you've done in this foundation is going to lend itself to the next stage, to the next part of the process. And that's what builds up, and that's what makes something so firmly constructed, whether it's a process, a relationship, or just something that you're really trying to achieve. It gives you a foundation of something solid. And when you have a solid foundation in anything, then it really has like a good core roots, you know what I mean? So it has the stamina to continuously to evolve and to grow. So that's something beautiful. So definitely you don't want to cheat yourself out of that. So don't rush it. Definitely I would say don't rush it. I know it's hard. I know it's hard not to, but the way to avoid rushing it is doing that, looking at it and saying, okay, I may want something to be completed in like 5 days, right? But then when you really look at the scope of everything that it takes, are you able to effectively complete it in 5 days? Can you complete it in 5 days? Sure. Can you effectively complete it in 5 days? That's a different question. And the result matters. So it all depends on the result that you want. So just remember, when you nurture things, they have so much more significance. They have so much more value, and it's a much more enriched experience. And if you need some assistance in trying to figure out how to really do that, I have a download that's called Creating Balance. And that's going to allow you to see how to kind of just like calm, how to understand like everything has its time, its place, and how to really navigate through things when sometimes we're in a time crunch. How to not let the frustration or anxiety of it not being completed get the best of you. So in this download, you're going to be able to see that journey and find the appreciation and realize that the deadline isn't always everything. Super important. I'm not taking that away. It is super important. Deadlines are very crucial, but having a realistic time frame is better, because let's say one, you can adjust the deadline if you can, right? So I think it's better to get like a full scope of what you want, a full scope of how to achieve that, and make sure you have a realistic time frame. If you cannot move your deadline, if that is it's a very stern deadline, then you really have to look at the result that you want and see what is your realistic goal, the end result that you can achieve within that time frame. Because remember, you don't want to cheat yourself out of anything. So if it means that right now that project isn't going to be to the full have all the full features that you want, then right now it's just not the season for that, because the time crunch is so tight. but realize what elements you can pull out of it so that it can be the best within the time frame you were given. So it kind of helps you find that balance of like, how can we maximize our result depending on what we have to work with, whether it's time, materials, elements, journey, skills. It allows you to factor all those things in so that you can realize this is truly the best result I can get within the elements that I had to work with. So it gives you a nice balance so that we're not living a life of stress, that really robs you of the enjoyment of, how things naturally get developed. And sometimes it's because we give ourselves unrealistic time frames. We put ourselves under unrealistic pressure. And I think if we're able to realize like how we could determine that and how we can fluctuate that, like we can really have a good result. We can really have meet our deadlines and be timely. But there's some things that are going to have to be removed, or there's some things that are going to have to be added. Sometimes added more time, or added elements, or added resources. So it just allows you to see what you're working with and how you can maximize that. So that you don't live frustrated. You should be happy, and everything that you do, you should be enjoying it. Everything should be a learning experience, a journey, a process, and all of this is just beautiful. So I like to think the analogy of a flower. In all of its stages, the flower is beautiful. So once it opens up and once it blossoms, and you get to fully enjoy everything. But sometimes it's just seeing that flower, go from a bud to blossom to full bloom. Even a lot of people do butterfly watching, right? The same thing. You see them from going into the cocoon and how it takes some time to really like manifest into a flower. So I'm sorry, not a flower, a butterfly. So the journey, we don't want to rob ourselves of the journey. And the best way to do that is to find balance. So if that is something that you're interested in, and that's something that you want to dive deeper in, and you don't want to be anxious and feel like you're rushing all the time and not really getting the result that you want, then I would advise you to get the download. It is linked down below. And if there is anything that I can assist you with, please just leave a question down below. I do have a great event coming up. It's definitely a masterclass that I want to do, and it is going to help us how to create the framework for our life and how to have that structure. So if you're interested in that, I am going to have some of the details down below. And if you want to sign up, definitely do so. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be sometime in the beginning of March. I'm going to finalize the times and dates within the next day or so. So I'll let you guys know by the next episode. But definitely it's going to be a nice work. It's going to be a masterclass where we're going to work on the framework for our life and how to find that balance and how to make sure that you are living your best life. Because we only have one, right? We only have one life. So let's make it the best. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode and feel like it was insightful, then I ask you to please rate it, like it, and subscribe. And share it with someone you feel will enjoy it. I'll be back here next week, and we will continue to discuss matters regarding personal development. Take care, guys. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.